What's up, everybody? It's Krish here from Kop End Fracas, and we are here with a very special transfer scouting special. And if you've been living under a rock for the past possibly 6 hours, I know some people are up until the wee hours of the morning discussing a potential transfer, but it looks very much likely that Liverpool are on the verge of signing this man right here. That is right, Porto and Colombian winger Luis Diaz is very close to joining Liverpool in a deal worth £50 million. And you know what? Before here at Cop End, a lot of the content we do like this, we usually put it behind the paywall on our Patreon page, which if you are interested in seeing more Cop End and Liverpool related content, do go head over to the Patreon page. The link is in the description below, and you can sign up today from just £3 a month. But we thought we'd give you this little taster for free because we're all in a good mood. It's amazing what a transfer can do in terms of what the mood it puts you in. We're all elated, over the moon, delighted, kissing babies, all sorts were going on here right now. But we're here to talk about this man right here, Luis Diaz, and we want to give you a fantastic breakdown of what he could bring to Liverpool and just how he can operate within our system. So let's get stuck into it. And the first thing to obviously say about this guy is his output. He's got 14 goals and 4 assists in just 18 appearances this season in the Portuguese league, with another 2 goals to boot in the Champions League as well. And we got a little bit of a close-up with this guy in the 2 games we did play against Porto. A little bit anonymous in the first leg, but that's fair. We did beat them 5-1, if you remember rightly. But in the second leg, it's quite interesting to note, and I've got some stats here, against us for Porto. And obviously, Porto looked very deadly, even though we did win the game 2-0. Porto's expected XG was higher than ours throughout that contest. And throughout that, he was possibly one of the biggest danger men. If it wasn't for some absolutely abhorrently bad finishing from Otavio and others on that Porto team, they probably would have won the game. So it's just interesting to see kind of like how his stats were for that performance, as he played really well off that left-hand side, kind of giving a real good indication of what he could do. He had the most progressive carries, the most progressive passes. He had a 60% dribble completion. His expected assists were 0.8, so realistically, he should have got an assist in that game. And he had 9 pressures that were in the attacking third. And you could see from how he performed in that game in the Champions League, you could see the mold a Liverpool player right there. It's also important to note that this guy scored 4 times in the 2021 Copa America, including a stunning goal overhead kick. A lot of you probably seen this on Twitter doing the rounds. It's an absolutely fantastic finish. And of course, it was nominated for the Puskas at the FIFA Awards this year as well. It's also interesting to note that his production has been massively increased this season compared to the previous season. So obviously we said he's got the 14 goals and 4 assists, but throughout the entirety of last season in the Portuguese league, he only got 6 goals and 5 assists. So he's obviously worked on his game and got a lot more confidence to kind of up his projections. And obviously one thing the Liverpool fans will love to know is that this guy has been absolutely lethal with his finishing this season. It's one of the reasons why his progression has gone up so exponentially, with a lot of his goals coming from low XG chances. He cuts in, shoots with his fantastic dribbling ability to beat his man, gets off fantastic shots, and scores a lot of goals. If one goal really personifies this man, it is the goal he scored against Manchester City in the Champions League. Really blistering pace on the counter-attack. Takes 2 guys out. I mean, he even dribbles past Kyle Walker, who's somebody who relies on his pace a lot to kind of make up for some of his positioning woes and how high he goes up in the pitch. And he dribbles it onto preferred right foot, slots it straight past Edison, and it's a fantastic goal. So hopefully we see more of that in Liverpool shirt for sure. So let's have a look at kind of a bit more in-depth at his stats right here on this radar graph that we designed here at Kop End Fracas as well. You can really see the radar graph, to use a term from Pep Guardiola, so big, so wide. His expected goals per game per 90 is in around the 0.4 range, which is fantastic. He touches in the box most in the Portuguese league. Pass completion is very good. Pressures and turnovers, you can see how he just needs to kind of adjust that more to playing the Jurgen Klopp style. But like we said, in that second game against us at Anfield, you could really see where he was starting to apply a lot of that trade and how it can be very beneficial to Liverpool as well going on. So yeah, that's a very rounded picture of a player that we are potentially getting at Liverpool in this January transfer window. And let's have a look at how he is deployed within this Porto team. So it's important to note that he is a left midfielder, a very traditional left midfielder as well. How he does play for Porto and Columbia. He does play on the left-hand side despite being a right-footed player, but as you can see from his heat map there, he spends a lot, if not all of his time on the left-hand side of the pitch. The darker area is obviously showing you where he gets a lot of his work done. And for me, he does a lot of his work from the touchline, and he really gets chalk on his boots. And that's a player that Liverpool have been crying out for, either to be an option off the bench or someone to start against more defensive units. You know, whilst he plays on the left, it allows him to cut inside and use his natural right foot. Again, much like that goal he scored against Manchester City, but he also be able to create a lot of room for the overlapping fullbacks to get around him. And of course, in this Liverpool setup, it'll be so key for him to kind of get that relationship down with either Andy Robertson or Costa Tsimikas. And it's a very cool trait of how we play as a Liverpool 11 too. Also, you can see, you know, with traditional wingers, one of the things we do expect is, of course, fantastic dribbling ability, and he has really good control of the ball. He's got the ability to take it away from defenders in an instant. And, you know, as we've already mentioned kind of within this report, he likes to cut on his right foot. So you do give him that little bit of room, he's going to take you on. He's going to get past you. And if you get too tight to the guy, you're going to commit a foul, and it's just going to beat you with ease. So it's a lose-lose situation for defenders who are going up against it, as is very obvious from his stats from the Portuguese league season. So, yeah, a guy with kind of natural speed, a one-on-one guy who can take guys on, is something we've definitely been missing this season for Liverpool. And, you know, adding him now, he won't be cup tied, so that's really key too. And he can really kind of progress forward and do a lot more damage for Liverpool as we kind of go on towards the season as well. Let's load up the next graphic. Obviously, one thing we do kind of have to look at as well is how he performs alongside, you know, Salah, Jota, and Mane in their breakout seasons before we really started to see them kind of shine for their respective clubs before they signed for Liverpool. So you can see here his goals pretty much spot on. Obviously, Salah is the massive outlier here. He had that fantastic season at Roma. The expected goals were a little bit less because, obviously, as we touched on earlier, he's scoring a lot of his goals from kind of low XG chances. And I think those XG chances kind of come out to around about 0.7 per shot. So a very good XG chance, you know, a kind of clear-cut XG chance is around about 0.4. And he's a lot of his chances are coming out of 0.07. So you can tell this guy is scoring either worldies or he's just doing some fantastic dribbling and maneuvering to get himself in these great goal scoring positions. And he's finishing again, absolutely lethal. You can see how he profiles really well against these guys. Again, the finishing, if you want to be a little bit of a skeptic, is something to possibly be a little bit of a concern of if he could replicate in the Premier League. But what we've seen from all the videos and all the scan reports have really confirmed is he's definitely ready to take the next step and be on another echelon going forward. Yeah, the guy is so quick as well. And obviously how we play kind of going on the transition too is going to be really key. His progressive carries, blistering pace is just something we've just massively lacked from Liverpool too. Even if you want to change the formation to go to more of a 4-2-3-1, as Klopp has tried to do in his past as well, he'd be a really good key for that. And I'm really looking forward to see how we can integrate him more when he does eventually sign. Interesting graph here I found from Sky Sports News as well. Apologies as well. The previous graph was supplied by Mr. Sam Maguire. If you do not follow Sam on Twitter, do follow him at Sam Maguire90. Fantastic stats. He's just absolutely boss as well. So I have to give a massive shout out to Sam before I forgot there as well. So thank you very much for that one, Sam. This is a graph I saw on Sky Sports News as he was linked to Tottenham Hotspur, Luis Diaz. And again, got to give a massive shout out to the NSO guys, New Spurs Order, for doing a lot of this research for me and basically doing our homework before we even turned it in. So now they're a good lot there at the Spurs pod, and you know they're taking it in good stride. So it just shows you the vibe we have here at Touchline Media Group as well. But this is an interesting graph here. A final third passes and goals per 90, Europe's top 5 leagues, and the Portuguese Premier Liga. You can see where Luis Diaz is outlined on this chart. And you're probably wondering, who's the guy in the red right next to him? The guy in the red, surprisingly not, is Mohamed Salah. So obviously, I'd expect Luis Diaz to get a lot less touches in this Liverpool team as Salah is the main man. But if he can replicate anything close to this output on the left-hand side of the pitch, it's looking quite spooky for opposition teams. And my word, do Liverpool need some extra options to kind of come off the bench and change games or even start games as well, as we've previously discussed. Yeah, natural speed, magician on the ball. We can really see all the tools there for Jurgen Klopp to make him a very good player for this Liverpool team going forward as well, how he can make his magic. So I'm looking really forward to seeing this guy in a Liverpool shirt kind of going forward. And hopefully you guys are looking forward to seeing him in a Liverpool shirt too as well. Again, with that blistering pace, touch of magic, and a fantastic finish and creating from low XG opportunities. It's looking like the Colombian will be a fantastic addition to the Liverpool squad. And we're really keen to kind of see what you guys and girls think of the Colombian. Do you think he's a good signing? Do you think he'll be a flop? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, if you do want more Kop End Fracas content, please subscribe to the Patreon page today. The link again is in our bio. And yeah, we will be having a more in-depth reaction again on the Patreon page. And of course, we'll provide a lot more detail on Wednesday's main pod next week too, where we'll be joined by yours truly and a few special guests we've got coming up too. So thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the content. There'll be a lot more to come soon. And thank you very much for tuning in.